Mr. Marks, you had said in your report about the reliable, eligible registration voters, the data. What concerns me is that we've been aware of this situation for several years, that the motor voter license still gave that opportunity. It goes back, last session I know we were already trying to address this. In these computer programs, it's a mere if-then statement. In other words, in the computer code, if this person checks that he is a non-resident alien, then the application for voter registration should be, and it should have been a part of that program, should not be made available. And I'm curious as to why this was not done.
Well, it's true that this has actually been an issue since the beginning of motor voter, going back 20 years across multiple administrations. Until the department, working in collaboration with PennDOT, sat down and we actually went through from the very beginning of the process, from the point that a voter walks through the front door all the way to the end, and we analyzed the entire workflow to find out where we could find opportunities to improve the process. I'm not going to argue the point with you. It's not as simple as an if-then statement. There are multiple statuses of legal residence, so we have to take those into account. But we were able to determine a way to have the two pieces of that process communicate better with each other so that we can shut down the flow of non-citizens into the motor voter process.
What status of resident alien would be allowed to vote?
Well, there actually, this is based on information obtained from PennDOT during our workflow analysis, but there are different codes, and there are actually one-letter codes that they use. There are temporary residents who are not citizens, permanent residents who are not citizens, but there are also naturalized citizens who have become naturalized.
My mother-in-law is one of those, but while she was here as a non-resident alien, she was ineligible to vote, and any of those codes could have been put in there that if this code is entered, if this status of non-resident alien is entered, then that person is ineligible to even read the screen on voter registration. That should have been done. That is a very simple process, and I'm kind of curious, what is the cultural thing, or what is it that prevented us from doing that years ago? There has to have been some sort of a reason why this was not done. It is really that simple. It is an if-then statement. If any of those statuses apply, then the voter's registration element of that screen should not have appeared. So my question is, what prevented that from happening?
I can't go back the entire 20 years, and our immediate focus was on solving the problem. That was our focus. Basically, these are two separate transactions that occur in PennDOT. And while I agree that those two things should communicate with each other, they did not, for whatever reason, during the design. And I don't even know what the status quo was 20 years ago at the time all of this was being put into place. What I do know, after our workflow analysis, is that we determined that basically these two things were compartmentalized, and this one part of the transaction where an individual comes into PennDOT, provides documentation showing that they are not a citizen but they have legal residence here, was not communicated to the other part of the workflow, that being the motor voter process. We corrected that problem, and we'll be deploying it within the next couple months. In fact, it looks like we'll be able to do it before the end of this year.
Thank you, Representative Dush.